All right, meeting will come to order. It's May 25. It's 7:07. We have how many board members here? 6?
7. John just hopped
Hi,
on.
Don. So we have 7 board members here, so we have a quorum. I'll ask the board members to, we'll go folks who are live first to introduce themselves, and then the folks who are remote, just so everybody knows. I'm Kevin Brown. I'm the chair.
Tom Wells.
Carol Klaus.
Ted Desmond.
You're muted, John.
John Moyers.
Brenda Tilburg.
Rob.
Rob Rooker.
Okay, so, all right, that's our 7. So first up is we have sketch plan review for Greg and Laura Butler, parcel 20, 50, 25, 2-lot subdivision, permit number 21-403. So again, this is sketch plan, which our only task really is to look at the plan and give ideas about if there's more information we're going to want to see, but our principal task is to determine whether it's a major or a minor. This is going to be resident. Where are you, Greg?
Hey, Greg, do you want to hop on?
Yep, I'm here. Do you want me to turn my video on?
Nope.
No, you're
Okay.
So, Greg, what's the other lot going to be residential?
Yes.
Okay, so if it's, that means it's a minor because of it's a 2-lot, it's residential. So that means there will be a single subdivision hearing unless some issues pop up at the final hearing, which is unlikely. You can always continue, but for everything we would expect at this point, it's going to be a 1 hearing subdivision. So
Okay.
everybody have,
Looks pretty straightforward. No variances.
right, so this is, and we're HDR, right, Chris?
Yes.
So this is high density residential, which means 10,000 square foot minimum lot size. So lots 1 and 2 are both above the minimum, and if they weren't, we couldn't do a subdivision. So that's good. I guess the only thing I'm going to want that I see on the plan is Kevin LaRose here.
No, he's not.
Okay, so Greg, you want to tell Kevin LaRose to get on the plan? I want the plan to show a distance between your house and the new lot line, so we can have confirmation on the plan that you're far enough, the line's far enough off to meet setback, side yard
Yep.
setback.
Okay.
Is it 50?
What is that setback?
It's 10. It's very shallow in the village.
Okay, I thought it was like 10 or 15 feet.
HDR.
40 feet.
15 for primary. For principal, yes. So it's 15 feet.
It would be good to have the dimension, but it's clearly evident just by looking.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that I hadn't had time to look. I was thinking it might be 50, and I thought we might be pretty close because I was looking at the building envelope that seems to be on lot 1 set out by hash marks, and it was, the distance from Greg's house to the lot line wasn't much bigger than the distance from the new lot line to the dotted line. So
So the rectangle, the small rectangle in this
No.
is actually the septic.
no, the big rectangle.
Oh, the big, yeah, okay.
So
Just making sure.
Yeah, is that, I assume that's the building.
That's the building envelope.
So he's showing side setbacks, the road is showing side setbacks that are bigger than 15 feet.
Perfect.
So just make sure we tell Kevin LaRose to show the distance from your house to the new lot line on the plan, okay, Greg?
Will do.
All right, and the line on the other side where your garage is, that's the existing lot line, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else see anything?
I have a question. The house garage that are shown on lot 2, they exist at the moment?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's Greg's house. And so you're gonna have So the septic for the new lot 1 is gonna be in your backyard, right, Greg?
Yeah, I think there was a couple options, but it was gonna be up behind the house, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
It's
so,
not terribly worried about it, but I do notice that there's a proposed easement in lot 2 for additional septic rate deep in lot 2. I'm just curious, is that an alternate plan or? There's another septic easement in the back of your existing lot to support lot 1.
and then there's a proposed septic easement on lot 1 itself. It might be replacement.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
think
thinking.
it was a backup.
What's that, Greg?
I think it was a backup for a replacement if needed
Yeah,
down the road.
yeah, okay.
It wouldn't be a bad idea just to put that's a replacement area, just, just. make it
Yeah,
clear.
I think that makes sense. Just let it have Kevin LaRose note on the plan, which is the primary septic area and which is the replacement area.
Yep, I'll write that down.
Yeah. And so if there's a replacement area or septic or primary septic on your land, you're gonna have to put that, that's gotta be an easement when you convey lot 1.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else have any other comments or questions for Greg?
If
Brenda?
we're combining these hearings,
Pardon?
if we're combining these hearings, the
We're not.
neighbors have been notified?
We're not combining the hearings.
They will be, for this isn't a hearing, Brenda, this is Chris. This is just the sketch plan. When their actual hearing comes, when their final hearing, which will
Oh,
be
okay.
about a month,
It
that
sounded-
needs to be notified to all neighbors and abutters.
Sorry, it sounded like Kevin was saying that this would be the only hearing.
No.
And I misunderstood him then.
Yep.
Can I ask
No.
you one more
Wait.
thing then?
Yeah, so let me
Chris?
clarify, this is the sketch plan. And
I have a
because it's a
question for
minor
Chris.
subdivision, it'll be a single hearing unless there's some issue that arises at the subdivision hearing.
And your question, Brenda?
My question is, when I looked at section 340, there are certain hearings that the town must notify the neighboring properties. But then it says under section 340B, all other types of development review are notified by the landowner.
That is correct.
But this is not a hearing?
That is correct. This is, the best way to look at a sketch plan is it's an informal meeting between the board and the applicant to review their application so that they can get feedback from the board where if they see issues with the potential plan, instead of having them come into a hearing and then deferring to another hearing a month later.
Okay, I understand that now.
Okay.
And, but there will be a more formal hearing after we finish this.
Absolutely. In roughly 30 days, we'll have an actual formal hearing for this.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Do you have any questions, Greg?
No, I don't believe so.
All right, so you're gonna get Kevin LaRose to note the distance from your west foundation to the new property line. And you're gonna ask Kevin to note on the final subdivision map, which is the replacement area and which is the primary septic area for lot 1.
Okay.
What's your septic situation, Greg? Do you have what do you currently have for septic?
As far as tank size or just
Well,
where?
where, yeah, you've got a tank and a leach field. Is it all on, I assume it's on your lot, right? Lot 2?
Yes.
All right.
It's on the west of the house.
Really? Oh, it's on the west of the house. So it's in that, all right, so. I guess that would be good to show as well on the map, is where your existing septic for your lot 1 or lot 2 is, okay?
Yep.
Because there's isolation distances that the state and, sort of a no build zone or exclusion zone that wastewater permit rules apply, and so it's helpful for the lot one owner to know where your septic is so that they can, who's ever installing their septic will know, or building their house will make sure that they're outside the isolation distance.
Okay, I will figure that all out.
Yeah, so, but Kevin knows has Kevin figured out where your septic is?
Yes, I believe he does know where it is.
All right, so have him show us on the map.
Okay,
Anything else from anyone?
Nope.
Brenda, Rob,
John?
Kevin, or John? Kevin, me, that's me. And Kevin Harper, too many Kevins. Okay, all right, so thanks, Greg. We'll go
thank
on to-
you.
We'll go on to Chris.
And Greg, I will reach out to Kevin and you and let you know when I have the hearing scheduled for you.
Okay. Sounds good. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Right. All right, second item on the agenda is permit number 21-404, Chris Acker at Hewett Road, parcel number 060245.01, sketch plan review for a 3-lot subdivision. Chris is here. Let's see, I gotta get,
Would Chris brought some full-size plans. Would you like the full-size? Would that help you guys at all?
These are fine.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
all right, so,
Bring it up.
Okay.
Where are you on?
If you come from 116, it's maybe quarter of a mile down on the left.
where in relation to Claire, the Lathrop house?
Oh, it was part of that land, so just
Yeah.
before you get to
Just
that.
before you get to the house, okay.
Yeah,
This
the
is
Lathrop
formerly
house.
similar to the plan.
Yep, okay. So we've got a 4-acre lot, a 9-acre lot, and a 9-acre lot, right? All right, so what do we in Chris, VM? Village?
That is
mix?
correct.
All right,
The 4-acre lot has a very cut out of the front. It's a flag lot. Has a little box in the front.
That's a private
That's
lot.
Somebody else's.
That's somebody else's lot, so it's actually the driveway runs in that. It's a.
They have to pay an easement for the driveway.
all right, so, commercial. Commercial density is fine, 1 unit per acre, residential lot density is 15,000 square feet, so there's all 3 lots are plenty big enough. Chris, your thought is that at least one of these lots would have some commercial business development on it for yourself?
Yes, for myself or for my son.
Yep.
And we're looking at lot 1 right now of doing that on.
Okay, so this is sketch plan review. If there's any commercial development that automatically turns it into a major subdivision, which means there'll be a minimum of 2 hearings, a preliminary hearing and then a final hearing, unless there was something more needed. But does anybody have any questions about the proposed subdivision for Chris?
It's big lot, so it's not hard.
So you're on the north side of Hewett Road, these lots. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I just saw the compass up there. I had it flipped in my head initially.
Did somebody have a question online?
Yeah, I just had a question. I wanted to make sure there was a licensed surveyor involved with this as well. I didn't. Plan.
At this
well,
point, there's not, but there will.
There's
be.
not. Okay.
Yeah,
I had Lincoln apply geology throughout this plan.
but there will be for the subdivision itself.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware moving forward that was needed.
Yeah, that's a good point. So what's the, so you're gonna have to, you heard our conversation with Greg, you're gonna have, for the subdivision, you're gonna have to have a surveyor show a bunch of, or Lincoln show septics and all of that.
You want to see septic and well.
Yep, and if there's Chris will point out the section to you that for subdivision that shows what you need to have on the subdivision site plan.
Okay.
You know, so there's an existing driveway probably, I gather, on lot 1 there. And you've got road frontage for the other 2 lots and plenty of it, so you're gonna ultimately need a highway access permit. You know, for driveways for those, but you've got, geez, it looks like over 400 feet
Yeah.
for lot 1, and yeah, over 400 feet of frontage for both of those, so you're not gonna have a problem, I wouldn't think, spacing out. But that's from the select board now, right? Yeah, so that's something you get from the select board, something you need to think about as well. And so Chris will walk you through that subdivision list of things.
Just a small question, why would they call it proposed lot 1, and lot 1? Make your life a lot easier if this was lot 1, 2,
I
3.
didn't notice that. That's not make any sense.
I mean, just in terms of us talking about it, you talking about it,
Yeah,
Okay.
I
yeah,
call it lot 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
point.
I was favoring.
I don't get that.
I noticed it this morning as well. I'm like, oh,
I think that's a mistake.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So which one is lot 1?
The one towards 116.
the lefternmost on the paper.
All right,
Went to the left.
all right. And then Chris is also anticipating. Why don't you explain you have a conditional use side for the commercial use, you're thinking of something that would require conditional use review, so that would likely be combined with the final
Yeah, so I'd like to
subdivision.
put a shop on this to work on our own trucks and equipment on the lot to the west. And we're in the remaining land we're gonna keep, so we're not gonna get rid of that at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's probably business yard or repair shop, both of which are conditional uses in the village mixed zone. So we'll try to combine those reviews with the final subdivision. You don't need 2 conditional use hearings, but we can have 2 if circumstances require it, but we don't need to, but we are required to have 2 for this major subdivision.
And when they do the survey, they'll put a building envelope, give us an idea of where you would put the buildings. That you don't have to place the buildings per se, but it's just,
Well, if he's gonna do conditional use review, we need to see a site
I
plan.
think we probably need to see where the commercial building will be.
Yeah, so that, would that be with the site plan for the condition or for? the
Yeah, I
conditional use?
think you put it on the site, you do a
Put
site,
it on.
you
And
do a
there's no
site
other
plan.
plans for any other buildings?
Right, the other ones, you should just have a building envelope, basically say where you're not permitted to put the building. Like you saw in the other plan, it just shows the setbacks that are required in the outside.
Sure.
But for the one that you're actually want the conditional use, you should really place the buildings and show us where you want to put them.
Yep, and it's, yeah, so if we're gonna combine them, you need to have a site plan for us, so with conditional use, one of the concerns is how does it fit in the neighborhood? Is there screening necessary? Things like that. There's neighbors, so you're gonna want to show all that stuff. Just in case people have concerns. So it's better to have as much in your head. On as much of your idea from your plans on paper, as far as the things you need to show for site plan, which is access, parking. If certain things need to be screened, your dumpsters, stuff like that, if you're gonna store parts out back or something like, I don't know if you've got a boneyard of used equipment that you're gonna put in the back, have there. So you need to think about all those things because it's conditional use. It's a pretty far-reaching inquiry. If it's gonna be a repair shop, you always want to think about things like the vehicle graveyard where you're storing things to scavenge parts off them.
Do you know where they
Maybe
plan to
already
put the
beyond.
shop in the front of the property or the back or?
I'd like to put it towards the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's to the extent that it's out by the road, then becomes a little bit more of a concern, what it would look like, whether you screened it and so forth.
Sure.
And so, it's that carve out in the front, that's a residential house
This one over
on
here.
lot one, yeah, that little.
The little
carve out.
square right there.
Over here.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a house there.
Yeah, so, they're gonna get notice, they're gonna be here, so you wanna. It's always good to be talking to them ahead of time, saying, here's what I'm thinking, here's what do you, find out what their concerns are, if any, and try to address them, and, depending on what you're doing. There might be screening issues, there might not be, but,
And I'm trying to do that building the furthest away from all the houses.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
Kind of why we picked that lot.
Yeah.
There's commercial buildings over in this area.
right,
So,
yeah. So, but you've got a house in the front yard of this repair shop, you're gonna.
No, I think he's the other way. I think lot one is.
They want to build the
That's
top
what he's
here.
gonna
Oh,
go,
I
lot
thought-
3.
yeah, so I'll be.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
He's gonna go the other way.
okay.
Yeah, to you like a-
That, I hadn't read my own cross out of lot 1 to lot 3.
Yes, so I'll
That's
be.
why I said, 2 and 3 is a good idea.
Yeah.
Lot one is gonna be-
Forget what I said. No, but that's good, but still. It's good to think about where your neighbors are, like what's across, if those are houses across the street or not, then, just think about all that stuff and, because they'll get notice and,
That first one, I think is Green Mountain Power Substation.
yep,
There's the house on the next one.
yep.
So it's still gonna be 500 feet away.
Which is, yeah, it's a long way, so, hopefully, no issues there, but, you're gonna want the conditional use for this building, you're gonna need a site plan, and you get combined, and there's quite a bit of information that will need to be shown on that, so, but there'll be some time between the first hearing and the second subdivision combined conditional use hearing. We don't have to combine them. We can do 2 subdivision hearings, you can do the conditional use and site plan separately. It's better to do that than rush it and make stuff up and, then have to amend. So if your plans aren't that firm, yeah, you're better off, I think, we can do this subdivision fairly quickly. And then you could do the site plan and
But I
conditional
won't-
use
I won't-
together.
I won't need the subdivision if I don't do this building.
Yeah, I know, but right, but
And just talking with Chris, I mean, they've got a fairly firm grasp on what they want to, where they want to place the building and what they want to do. And it's a matter of getting the site plan drawn up in time. And I think that
Right.
shouldn't be a problem.
we'll just all I'm saying is don't box yourself into a timing corner unnecessarily,
Is all your criteria online for?
I'll provide it to you. Yep. Yeah, I'll get it to you.
Yeah, it's in the zoning bylaws, so,
And I've broken it out into documents.
yeah.
Whoever does your site plan, we'll be familiar with it. You use somebody who's done it before.
Yeah, our rules in that regard aren't different from what other towns do. There's nothing unique about how we approach it, so. Someone who's experienced will be able to handle it real easy.
Kevin, I have a question for Chris.
Go ahead.
Chris, I thought I heard you say that you might need an easement for lot 3. Did I hear
Yeah, I
that
told you that wrong. That will own right through the
right? Yeah, okay, 'cause it looks like there's plenty of land there.
You're at 75 feet there.
Put a road in.
Yes.
So you have a driveway. Yeah, no problem.
Well, depending on where the driveway to that little carve out is, sometimes you get restrictions on, although it's a nice straight road, sometimes you
How close it is, yeah.
to the other one, the site distances and speed limits and such, and so I think it's probably fine, but the select board road foreman would figure that out. Worst comes to worst, you could always do a kind of shared driveway off of the middle lot.
There is an existing access right in that area.
There is now?
Another one at this end, yeah.
There's already a curb cut.
There's access that they've been using
Okay.
forever.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that's something you work out with the select board and the road foreman. They handle the highway access, so. You'd want to be showing that on the subdivision plan. Any virtual board members have a question? Rob shakes his head no. John says no. Brenda, you good? Brenda? Someone
Nope.
stole Brenda.
here she
Here
goes.
she is. Any questions? Okay. All right. That's it for tonight.
I'll be in touch with you and we'll get the ball rolling on the next steps.
Thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you very much.
Yep.
Now,
All right. Third and last, permit number 21401, Stony Hill Properties at Firehouse Drive, parcel number 060209. Requesting final plat approval for 4-lot subdivision per the Bristol Unified Development Regulations, Article 9, Sections 930 and 941. I saw Kevin Harper here.
Hello,
Hello, there he is.
we have Milford Cushman here as well.
And he did the landscaping or the. yeah, he did the landscaping
Architectural,
plan.
the design and landscaping and screening and a host of other features.
Right.
Milford, can you demute yourself? Thank you.
Hang on, I'm just trying to pull up the documents that Jamie sent me earlier today.
Okay,
This is a hearing, so you want to be swearing in and all
Yeah,
that good
yeah,
stuff.
thank you.
Just give me a moment. I'm trying to grab have everything ready for you to go.
sure.
Is it? Kevin, is it
Jamie
yours?
Simpson is here as well from Green Mountain.
Okay.
Jamie. And Mike, there he is from Cushman, Michael.
Okay, I'm ready whenever the board's ready.
Okay. So for those of you who are going to give testimony, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I solemnly swear or affirm that I shall, the evidence I shall give before the zoning board of adjustment shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You can just say I affirm or I swear.
I swear.
Okay, you're sworn.
Now he's looking thumbs up.
Okay, so this is the second, and this is the continued hearing on the subdivision. And at the previous hearing, we did the preliminary subdivision hearing and conditional use review for the building that's going to be David Bittersdorf's solar assembly building. There were concerns raised or questions raised about lighting and view from, particularly at night, down on from Lover's Lane and vehicles coming east on 17 before climbing up Stoney Hill. And Milford has given us some views and a landscape design plan to show the screening. So Milford, you want to just walk us through your landscape plan in response to the previous hearing?
I will. Thank you very much. Good evening, members of the board. In preparation of this plan, which Mike Propol, who's the architect in my office, I visited the site several times before the leaves had come out, and I walked down the hill from the proposed building down to the bottom of the S-turn there at 116, then up along the side of 116. And as you see in this plan, we've created a couple of view shed vectors. You'll see them in a second here. This plan shows a planting of quite a number of 12-foot Niagara arborvitae, which is an American white cedar. It's the same tree that was planted on the west side of the fire station to help screen from that abutting neighbor. These plants are going to go around the entire outside perimeter of the outdoor storage area that's called out on this plan, and wraps around from the west side to the northwest side to the north side, and then down along the extension of Fire Station Drive. In accordance with your bylaws, this project is in the village mixed. It's light industrial, and this is under section 760. If you want to refer to that, it's your bylaws are pretty clear. It basically says in this particular district that any outdoor storage needs to be screened, and again, we're proposing to use the same trees that we used at the fire station. Other matters that I will discuss at this point under section 752, which was raised at the last hearing under night lighting. There are downward casting wall packs on the side, on the west side of the building and the north side of the building. You should all be aware of the fact that these are going to turn off automatically at night and will be triggered by motion detector only. Jamie will also testify here that the street post lighting down the entire drive is also going to reduce to 37% of the total lumens unless triggered by motion. So we believe that this really highly qualifies the lighting as being non-invasive in the evening. Whoever's driving this, could you please scroll to the next slide? There are two sections here, one at the top of the page and one at the bottom of the page. The top of the page shows a line of sight from at the bottom of the corner on the left-hand photograph, I'm looking up through the trees before the foliage is coming out, and 100% of those trees are remaining. And you can see through the top section, that we project that the line of sight from a person driving an automobile, where there's less than 2 seconds at speed limit, there's less than 2 seconds of visibility up this line. We'll be looking through a dense mass of biomass, not even including the leaves that are going to come out, up until where the proposed building is going to be. And whoever's driving, if you could please zoom in on the row of arborvitae that's planted along the edge of the outdoor storage area. Is it possible to zoom in?
I'm trying.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Another click would be good.
There we go. Is that better?
Let's scoot over, please, to the edge of the building. If you could, you dropped down. I wanted you to stay up.
There you go.
Stay up.
Yep.
Go up to the top. Up to the top. There you go.
There you go.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Nope.
I overdrove.
There you go. Nice job. Thank you. You all can see that the initial planting of these arborvitae are 12 feet tall. And they're going to be planted 7 to 8 feet apart, and they're going to grow into each other like a dense mat. And this particular tree has a habit of maintaining its crown or its foliage down to the ground. So the line of sight from someone in the car is basically, you're not going to even be to see the building there. If for some reason all the trees on the hillside were to go away. The other view is from up at the top of the curve, right where you're coming around from where the access to the high school or the school is, looking across 116 through the utility pole to a circle, an oval circle that Mike drew on this plan, which is the location of the building, way below the crowns of trees that are on the far side of the project. You can see there's a big, huge white pine there up to the right underneath the utility wire. Note the other side. There you go. Thank you. That white pine is on a very high knoll that really is going to help to have this proposed building be hardly visible. And the third picture in this series is a picture of the actual trees on the west side of the firehouse, planted 5 years. They were 12 footers when they were planted. They're now 15 to 16 feet tall, and you can see how dense they are. So
I'd like to point out just on the other side of those trees, a few feet is a tractor trailer. And I'm trying to remember, I think it was a truck or a trailer, a home, that you can stand there at the trees and look and not see it. So just to point out the density of this particular tree grown at the closeness to one another that Milford's recommending. I think we were in this, what, 6, 7 feet, 8, something like that, right, Milford?
yeah, 7 to 8 feet.
And I've measured and they're already up there at 16 plus feet. So they're hardy. They don't need love and care. They just take care of themselves. I don't think these trees have been touched since we put them in 3-4 years ago.
This part, but this is the part
So,
for the image too.
What I'd like to do is go then to the next slide, please. We want to show
Hey.
you.
Hang on, Milf.
Hang on, I
Kevin.
just wanted to I just wanted to go back to the bottom cross section there, and I think that's the sight lines you're projecting from image 2, right?
That's correct.
So let's just leave that. Can you slide it to the right a little bit, Chris, so the board can see the, yeah, make it a little smaller, maybe see. All right, you can see the car on West Street.
Yes, at the upper edge.
Right, and so the sight line to the building and the screening trees are shown just to the left of the proposed building A.
Yep, there are screening trees to the left and to the right of the tree and to the left of the building, to the right of the building, that's east and west. And even though the foreground is going to be cleared for the septic field, there's considerable biomass left there. The bylaws ask that the outdoor area be screened in light industrial, and that's what we are proposing to do. Here again, you can see 12-foot trees will eventually grow to be 16 to 20 feet tall, and they're going to do the job of screening that outdoor storage area, which is what your bylaw speaks to.
Before we move further, does anybody on the board have any questions regarding what the screening that Milford's been explaining, or the sight lines?
Yes,
Can't see you, but go ahead.
it's John.
I thought so. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think that, I raised the concern about the visibility from the west generally, basically, or coming up and down Stoney Hill on 116. And I really must say you've addressed my concern very thoroughly and adequately. And I'm quite heartened to see that fits in so well. So I appreciate such a full response. So thank you. And my concern is assuaged completely.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're welcome, and thank you.
I'm happy to see the size of the trees you're putting in. A lot of times you see somebody trying to get away with a 4-foot whip of a cedar that in 15 years is maybe gonna fill in, and you've gone way past that, and I think that's really helpful. John, did you have any? You also had concerns about the lighting. Do you have any questions? Or are we going to deal more with that, Milford, or whoever?
I had some concerns about the lighting from this view, but I think with the screening and the natural screening to remain, and this topography analysis, these cross sections basically show me that when I look at the building elevations with the wall sconces, that sort of thing, one of my concerns was looking up under the lights from the west, the lower side. But again, with this presentation of the screening, I'm feel quite satisfied that it's going to be just fine.
Anybody else on the board have any questions concerning Milford's presentation thus far?
No, sir.
No, it looks very well conceived.
Okay, you want to keep going, Milford?
Yes, yeah, I do. I just would like to finish up. Folks, this is a rendition of the color of the building. It's going to be a really dark red with dark green trim and black windows. So if we're taking additional measures here to have this building feel quiet, dark colors tend to make buildings recess. And this is our way and the owner David's way of helping to help ensure that this building down beyond the fire station was going to be complementary to what your plans for this light industrial park to be. And then the final slide we have here is a rendering. we did this earlier on as an artist rendering. We didn't have the color of the buildings in here, but this shows on the very left side portions of the housing project. It shows looking over the river to the town of Bristol. This is, and then the three buildings that are eventually will fill in this area. It should be noted on the very right side of this sketch, there are trees that are going to be left because they're part of the preservation of the archaeologically sensitive area.
Yep.
So those trees are always going to be a background as you're coming down Firehouse Drive. I'm confident that you all will be incredibly proud of this development when it's all in place, because even though the place is going to change just because of the construction, there's been huge effort on Kevin and David's part and the design team to be respectful of the fact that we wanted this to be really a lovely place to come and work and keep people in your town. I must say I have some fondness to your town because of our work on the Firehouse and on the housing project and on a many handful of other projects with Kevin since the mid 80s. So this is a view looking as you're coming down Firehouse Drive as you're entering into the park. That concludes our presentation, ladies and gentlemen of the board.
Milford, can you remind me what the exterior of the building A is made of? Is it a steel building or those?
Yeah, it's vertical panels, vertical red steel panels. It's a Kynar finish, which is a baked on finish. And they're relatively wide. They're about a meter, right, Mike? Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
About a meter wide. And again, the building's much darker than this rendering shows. The trim around the fascia is all dark green. The windows are black. So it's.
Thanks. Could you repeat what you said? I lost you a little bit, or I didn't hear you quite right when you were talking about how the lighting of the wall sconces is going to be operated.
Yeah, the wall sconces are a totally downward shielded fixture that are going to. They're basically there for I'm going to say security and safety of people walking around after it's dark. After a certain time, they're going to be on a timer. The lights will go off automatically, and then they will be triggered on the building. They're going to be triggered by motion. So if someone should try to drive in or walk around, the lights will come on. The street lights that again, Jamie, I'd like you to talk a little bit more about that. But basically, they're also going to be on a dimmer. So they're going to be reduced to about 37% of their normal lumen output after a certain time period. Again, as a way, this is a public a road with a sidewalk and a residential community. And I think that part of the responsibility or the stewardship of that is making sure that people feel comfortable outside at night and walking on the street. And we also don't want to blast the residents out of their beds with bright lights, and be respectful around that.
Maybe Chris, can you maybe pull up this plan C7.2 and we can maybe see where the street lights are proposed to be on Firehouse Drive. It's I have a small plan, so it's kind of hard to see, but I think it'd be helpful for the board to see that, because I don't see in the artist rendering, at least I don't see it. As you're looking southeast, I don't see any of the street lights. Unless I'm missing something.
So if you have available to you from the original hearing we had before,
Yeah,
there was a sheet number C8, which I believe was the lighting and
okay.
grading plan, lighting and landscaping plan,
Yeah,
previous one that we
yep,
submitted.
no, that's helpful. I remembered it being someplace and we have quite a bit of discussion about it, so I want to make sure that everybody's got the plan in mind. So Jamie, can you see the lights on C 7.2 or not?
No, they weren't displayed
Okay.
on this map. It would have made it too crowded and convoluted.
So,
You wanted C8, is that correct, Jamie?
Correct.
Let me see, give me 2 seconds.
So while he's bringing that up, I will just go on by saying that, as Milford mentioned earlier, the lighting controls will have essentially 3 elements of control. The first being an astronomical time clock. So that is a programmable switch that you can program in specific times of the day where you want the lights to come on and when you want them to shut off. And that time clock automatically keeps track of daylight savings time and any other time features you want to program. There's like, I think, a possibility of 50 different time elements or stages you can program into that timer based on the town's wants and needs. The second control element is a photocell. So when the sun goes down and it becomes darker out, that will trigger the lights to go off. And by off, I mean dimmed to a 37% status. And so that would limit the amount of light that's projected down to the ground. They are shielded, they are downward facing. So they are dark sky compliant. And then the third element of control is a motion sensor. So if the lights do detect motion on the sidewalk, then they will kick back on to full power for a specified amount of time. And that can be programmed again based on the unit that we've selected. And so you can set that time to be 5 minutes after motion has been sensed or down to like 1 minute after motion has been sensed, depending on your needs, your wants. So again, there's a lot of controls available through this lighting system, and it should be very efficient, being LED, and also very non-invasive, being the shielded downward facing.
Lighting on that one.
So here you
Yeah.
can see the lighting, the lighting rings represent kind of the broadness of the spectrum of that specific light. So you can kind of get an idea of where that light is projecting.
So this is the correct map that I have pulled up, correct, Jamie?
Yeah, this will work. This will work. You can see.
yeah, so,
Can you pop it up a little bit, Chris?
Yep.
Enlarge it.
so
Does that help?
That helps.
was
Yep.
it
So
you
can
can
you,
show the like this area? Is this the lighting kind of lighting area he's talking about?
So what was your statement, Jamie?
So I was just saying, you can see that there are the dark bold lines, which represent the actual conduits connecting lights. And then there's the lighting fixture itself, which is kind of looking like a rectangle, a small rectangle.
yeah,
Got it right there.
Around, yes, and then around that, you can see 3 separate rings, if you will, lighting rings, that kind of give an indication of how much light that
Oh, I see.
specific unit and
Yeah,
where
yeah,
it
yeah.
projects onto the
Just show
ground.
Chris, maybe show this.
That's what's up now, right?
Yeah, I know,
It's
but
right-
with your,
it's up.
with your cursor.
Yep.
Show this one and then show the lighting rates.
Okay,
Make sure we've got it right.
yeah, so Jamie, this is the light itself,
That's the
Yep.
fixture itself.
and these are the light rings you were speaking of.
Correct. And so the centermost ring that you just circled around, that's going to be the most intense light projected from that specific fixture. And then a little bit further out, it's going to be a little less intense. And then the furthest ring away will be the least intense, if you will.
No, it's the other way around, isn't it?
No,
No.
it's right, that's right. It's,
Okay.
the closer the circle, the
The more
more,
intense
the
the
more,
light.
the more foot candles.
Gotcha.
Again, Jamie's word intense is probably not the right word here. These are designed to provide minimum foot candles for security. And these photometric lines basically show that as you get further away from the fixture, the light becomes more dim.
Got it. Thank you.
I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth because this is the best lighting plan I've seen. But do those lights, when they change, say motion detector or something, do they fade on and off, or do they flick on and off?
They ramp up and ramp down. So they will, you can program that amount of time that it takes for it to do that as well, if you want to get into
Slow.
the weeds. But yes, so they ramp up to their full maximum power, and then after their set timer, they ramp back down to 37%.
Yep. Well, I would just say for the record to the board, my colleagues on the board, that one of the things I am really interested in is light pollution and noise pollution, two of the things. I must say this is really a model for where I hope Bristol goes when we consider any kind of coordinated development like this. I mean, this is the future, and it really means something to the community, because glary lights just kind of spoil the feel of the place. And we have this beautiful beauty around us. Anyway, this is a great attention to detail, and I for one really appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have anything more, Jamie, or should we just canvass for questions?
I think as long as the lighting question was satisfied, then I have nothing more to add.
No, I think it was very helpful pulling up C8. I didn't understand the rings initially, so now I do. So that was very helpful. Are there any other questions from the board?
Very good program. Excellent.
Thank you.
And if anybody who's remote, just speak up, because we don't see the gallery right now.
You can.
All right, there we go.
I'm all good. I appreciate all this detail. It really is a model for.
Yeah, I think so too. I really like the 37% effect that powers up when needed, and I guess we can fine tune once it's up and running, if it's better for it to fade back to 37% or proceed very quickly. That stuff can be adapted sort of in the field, I think. If we're getting some complaints, then there can be some adjustments made. I would think you want to have a pretty quick power up in response to the motion, just for safety, but then how long that's on and how you get back to the 37% level is something that can be adjusted. My view is that we don't need to get into that level of detail here in our requirements, because we just don't know what's going to make the most sense. At least that's how I feel.
And the exact details about that, will be a work in progress with people on the ground experiencing what's there and making appropriate changes.
Yeah, that's kind of my view of it. Anybody have any additional comments on or questions on lighting or screening. Those were the open areas that we left for this hearing, but this is also the second hearing, so that by focusing on lighting and screening, I'm not meaning to exclude other issues related to subdivision and site plan. So it's all fair game. We just had a lighting and screening focus for this hearing for further development, and Kevin and his team have provided us with that. So anything beyond lighting and screening that folks might want to question or comment on with respect to this plan?
One more comment on the lighting. Can we coordinate it with the fireworks on the 4th of July?
Like I said, 50 programmable time.
Yeah.
So throw it
Yeah,
in.
can you time it to music, like Stars and Stripes Forever or something? Anything else?
This is really a state-of-the-art project. They've done a really wonderful job.
No,
So there's not a lot of comments, and that's because Kevin and your team have done a really great job.
yeah, you guys have,
He's right when he said, you'll be proud of it. I think we'll all be proud of it.
yeah, I
That's
think
good
so.
job.
I think so too. I think people who come after you with development projects are going to not be thrilled with the high bar that you have set.
That was our goal.
On the trampoline.
Yeah, no, we're gonna say Kevin Harper wouldn't do it that way.
God, please spare me.
All right, we'll call it Stoney Hill. We won't give it your name.
You know, but we say that, by the same token, the lighting program that they're suggesting, that's not extraordinarily expensive. In fact, it'll use less power overall.
Yeah.
It provides the security that's necessary for their employees, and yet creates a minimal impact in terms of the visual aesthetic. So it's the right thing to do. So,
Yeah.
It's
I
great.
agree.
Landscaping as well. I think you've probably gone a little further than, your plantings initially are a little bigger than you probably would get from most folks, so that's appreciated. But it's perfect.
Yeah.
Nothing to criticize you.
Yeah, and I think, it is a public highway, will be, and we've got a sidewalk that parallels West Street. And so with the lighting plan, I think all that's taken into account as it needs to be. I think it's a really well thought out lighting plan, and I think the screening plan for those cross sections was particularly helpful to me, because it's hard to tell with the undulations of topography what's in the sight line and what's not. So I think that schematic was really helpful.
Okay.
Brenda? Yep.
The screening's very nice. The lighting is very good. I was just wondering, has anyone thought about what happens when a whole factory gets let out, perhaps at the same time large numbers of people are leaving the school or entering the school? Because most of the day that road is nice and quiet, but you hit certain times and there will be traffic jams. I wouldn't be surprised.
You mean on the main road, on the Firehouse Drive?
Well, but it all comes up because you've got
Yeah.
so many people at certain times of the day coming up Stoney Hill and cutting across traffic, and then leaving the school and cutting across traffic. And it's not very far from the Firehouse Drive.
Let me pull this one up because you can see the nominated
If you
driveway.
choose the times well, everything goes fine. But I can just imagine, nice snowy day and the shops being let out, and just wondered if anyone had thought of that, because it sounds like they're planning to put a large number of dwelling units in that area come out on that very same drive. It's just a practical thing. It's nothing that really
Yeah,
needs to do anything.
Right. So I asked Chris to put up C 7.2, and so you can see the the entrance to Firehouse Drive, and you can also see the entrance to Mount Abe farther to the left. And can somebody from the team just restate in summary way what the traffic flow is intended to be? And right now we have one building from on the proposal, and off the top of my head, I don't recall how many employees we expect with that building, but there's going to be other buildings over time. So can somebody, probably from Green Mountain or whoever, address the traffic flow, ingress and egress issue? I know
Sure.
we've got a sidewalk there.
Maybe it's Kevin, I just would like to start with the location of Firehouse Drive was thought about deeply for the benefit of the fire trucks getting in and out of that road, and the setback from the bend in the road coming up 17, right there where the school road into the high school is. I can't remember the length. Milford, maybe you've got a recollection, but it's a heck of a good line of sight, way exceeded the state's requirements for a roadway entering. So I just want to say that it's not accidental where Firehouse Drive was, and it more than met the requirements. And then, what's the worst that's going to happen is a few cars are going to back up out on Main Street, West Street, and they're going to have to wait to go right or left when the traffic allows. I don't think that's any different than coming off of Maple Street or any other cross street onto Main Street.
Well,
It's
I
not
think
more
wouldn't it be the backup would occur on Firehouse Drive, not on West Street?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And that doesn't strike me as a problem. It's hundreds of feet long, and there's two lanes big enough for trucks, and there's you get further down and you've got it big enough for two trucks passing each other and parking on either side. So it's a wide road. It's hard to get your head around it on a site plan like this. But other than that, the only experience I have is Bristol Works, and we have 50,000 square feet of building over there. And I don't, they pull in the morning at 7, 8 o'clock, and we just don't see it. We just don't see where there's, and I think if there would be complaints, you'd hear it from when you're in a neighborhood. This isn't like over on Pine Street, where you're surrounded by homes that have been there for 100 years.
I would think that the queuing would be for traffic coming out of Firehouse Drive that would be looking to turn west. They might have to wait a bit, but traffic that's turning right will probably be able to come alongside the traffic that wants to turn left. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I would think. Yeah.
So if I would just to speak to that, I would say that, yeah, I agree with you, Kevin, both Kevins. The queue would be on Firehouse Drive, and for those trying to turn west. And as far as the site distances go, we easily satisfied the design site distance and braking distance for the AOT specifications. And then in fact, typically what we do is we try to design for the next increment of speed limit, which we were also able to satisfy. So
yeah, and at this point, is it 30 or 25 at Firehouse Drive? Miles per hour.
There's a 35 mile an hour speed limit right at the VAOT transition.
Which is where in relation to Firehouse Drive?
It's to the west, slightly around the corner. And I believe I might even show that transition on that site plan of C7.2.
Yeah, it's aligned on that site plan.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's where it goes, but down to 30, but at the mouth of Firehouse Drive, the speed limit's 30, isn't it?
I believe so. I would have to check back in my records to see what that.
Valerie is nodding yes.
Okay,
And Valerie promises she's got a crossing guard outfit from middle school still, and she'll show up with her little paddles.
In other words, you thought about it.
we have thought about it. Thank you.
That's all I was,
Long answer for yes.
Well, no, it's a good question, because that's what I didn't want to foreclose those types of questions inadvertently by focusing on lighting and screening.
It is a good question, and if all, when this is fully occupied, if all three buildings happen to let out at one time or started at the same time, you could have some volume there, but I think Kevin said correctly that the queue would be up the street. There could be some queue coming in the morning, but that's less likely to be all static.
And, I think it's worth mentioning because we've been over this so many times with our team that when it comes to building 1A here in particular, David's interest is fewer parking spaces, more bus transportation, bicycles, walking. That's the beauty of this infill location is you can walk to work if you live close in town or bike. And
Make it like Copenhagen, lots of bikes.
it's just so already right in the village, and
Well,
so
and there could
walking
be,
is realistic.
yeah, especially with the housing development that's coming along, but there could be people,
Walk out of your house, take a left, go to work.
well, yeah,
So that's
hopefully.
the dream.
yeah.
It's not
Any-
unlike what Bristol Works was when it was Drake Smith, and before that, it's the homes around the factory are workers' homes. They're modest and they're close. And
Yeah.
they're there for good reason.
Yep.
So-
So any further questions from the board or if anyone from the public? I don't know that we have anyone from the public. Ian or Valerie, you probably have, don't, if you do, speak up. Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll move to approve the site, the subdivision and site plan. And as set forth in the plans.
I'd
And
second that.
Yeah, I think everything we've talked about is now in the plans, so the permit will reference the plans and the plans will guide the development, but also the zoning administrator for what the requirements are. We'll just be referencing the plan. These submitted plans will be the approved application.
Okay.
Any further discussion before we vote?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor, say aye, or raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so it's unanimous 7-0, and we'll get your decision out, but you know it, so there you go.
On that
Kevin,
note, I was gonna ask the same question you're about to ask, Kevin, on the decision.
Go for
and
it. Go for it.
So the question is on the appeal, what is their appeal period and wait period for this?
30. So it's always 30 days, but
But is that from tonight, from when you made your
Yes,
verbal
yeah.
decision?
Well, yeah, well, here's the thing too, and I don't remember from the first hearing.
There was nobody here.
Yeah, I mean, in order to appeal, you need to be an interested person who has actively participated, which is it's a low bar. You know, you can send in a letter, but it's a low bar, and my recollection is we haven't had any interested persons actively participate, so.
You're bulletproof.
Yeah, I think it's from the time of the written decision, but, and I'll try and get that out promptly. Well, there actually, in this case, I take that back. There's nothing for me to write about other than a letter that memorializes that it's approved according to the plans. And so that's pretty easy. I'll get that out, but I
That's
don't,
great.
you're not vulnerable to, at least not vulnerable to a successful appeal because there's been no participation by interested persons.
Okay, and I think our reason for asking is we're so behind. Everything's been so sluggish with
Supply
Permit-
chains and. yeah.
permits and on and on and on. So we want to get the bids out. Well, they're out, starting, I guess they're starting this week, and then
Yeah,
try to get a shovel in the ground come July.
yeah. Well, I think you're safe on that score,
Okay.
given the absence of participation.
Look forward to
Okay.
seeing you cut a ribbon.
Well, let's do it.
All right.
Thank you
so-
all.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you, thank you, great job. You have
Thank
set a
you,
high
everyone.
bar, and I'm happy that you have. So next up, we have the minutes from April 27. Folks had a chance to review those. Want to take a minute or two now? John, yes, no? You've reviewed them?
I have not reviewed them and I would like to take a minute right now.
Okay, go ahead. Take your time. I'm doing so as well.
I did review them because I wasn't here. And I won't be voting since I wasn't here.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. If you weren't at the April 27 meeting, make sure you don't vote.
Okay, I have a question on the old business. When I asked Chris about the property.
Yep.
Yeah, and you had written to me today that you are talking with them about issues. What are the issues?
So it appears that there may be some more construction activity on the site, and that is what I've sent her, wanting to know what the activity is. It needs to halt until we have a conversation. I heard 0 back from her. I will reach out again next, when I'm in the office next. I mean, I'm pinging her regularly because this is not, I mean, I'm not gonna, I've got permits this thick on my desk as well, so it's in the pile and I get to it at least once a week. I'm reaching out, trying, doing more
Yeah.
research on it, so.
Is one of the issues whether or not it's in the floodplain?
Yes, yes,
And she hasn't gotten back to you about that?
we need to go up and measure.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
we were provided a map that had measurements on it that they provided, and that's what we based the permit on.
Correct.
And it's a question whether or not that is the actual placement of the shelter. And if it is in the floodplain, then they have to come to you folks and go through the floodplain process. I mean, it's not prohibited. It's just there's a series of standards that are required if you have it in the floodplain potentially.
But the map that I was sent by a concerned party indicated it was not in the flood. Correct?
That is correct. The drawings that we were provided show that it's on the edge of the floodplain. The floodplain makes a weird jog right there. And that is where, when I did the measurements on the map, that's where it fell in. Really needs to happen. We need to update GPS coordinates of it and then overlay that on an accurate map, which that's the other fun one. There are no digital maps of the floodplain in our area that we have. It was all, a lot of it's hand data from, it's FEMA data from 70s. So it's not brushed under the carpet. I'm actively pursuing it.
So, back to the minutes. Hey, Peggy? Can you give me in the minutes, we need to show the votes. And if, so historically, if it was unanimous and we know who's there and voting, it's fine to say unanimous, but if it's, I need to say it in decisions I write as well, because that's what, there's not many requirements for what the minutes should say, but the statute's clear that you're supposed to show who voted.
By name.
Yeah, right, well, I think you can say unanimous.
Yeah, unanimous, for sure. but
Yeah, but if otherwise, if there's an
an issue of conflict of interest.
Well, if there's
Or
a-
6-1.
or yeah, if there's an abstention or whatever, I need to be able to reflect that, so it needs to be in the meeting or minutes. I think, if I remember right, the votes on April 27 were all unanimous. Yeah, so revise, change, just put unanimous after each so voted. Yeah, Brenda.
Against what? April 13th?
No, April 27. We're on April 27 minutes.
Okay. Anyhow, at some point, it doesn't mention there, but one of the things that they were going to discuss or find out is the percent coverage when they've removed the lots from Martin's Hardware. And one of the things, I just realized that it's really in 2 zones, so that the calculation may be quite complicated, and I would hope that they will show how they get whatever percent coverage they get.
Yep. They've provided that. They have provided that map to me, and that'll be coming out when they're in the hearing packet for that subdivision.
Okay, and is the demarcation between the ROC and the HDR shown on that?
I believe so. I asked when I spoke with LaRose Surveys. I asked Kevin to include that on the map.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Any other, so Peggy, you're gonna change the minutes to say unanimous for each of the so voted. And right, so the people voting were me, Brenda, Carol, John, that's 4, Ted, Rob, and Josh.
Is that for the April 27 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Because we still haven't voted the
So
April.
that's 7 people. Did we not, we still have the April 13 minutes to do?
Well, you decided, we were told that they weren't ready to be voted on last time.
Well,
Oh, that's right. We didn't do it last time.
all right, I didn't remember that. Yeah.
That's my bad.
Okay, well, oh yeah, I see that, deferred. I've forgotten that. Well, I don't have them with me. Well, when are we coming back? How quickly are we coming back?
Month. You've got 30
Yeah.
days out.
Yeah, so they'll just stay deferred until then. I mean, we know what we did, and that was the Fuller hearing. I've got to get the written decision out this week. We announced the decision at the hearing itself, so we've met our render a decision requirement, so we don't have a deemed approval issue lurking out there. But that's next for me to do. I'll just work off the draft minutes. There's enough there. Anything else?
I have one thing,
Hi, John.
John Warrior. I just totally minor, which is my name is always spelled with an S. That's my only comment.
So Peggy's got it right in the April 27 draft.
No, it goes in and out. Not that.
Did we drop?
Total,
All right, so we dropped the
totally
S
minor.
sometimes? Sometimes we drop the S. All right, that's something to pay attention to. And is all earth one word?
I believe
I think it is.
Yeah,
I think
I'll bet
it's
it is. I see it that way.
ALL capital E, but
Yeah,
but
yeah,
one word.
I thought that was intentional rather than a typo since it was consistent. Any other questions or comments regarding the April 27 minutes? Okay, I move to approve the April 27 minutes, subject to the revision to note the who's voting and just saying unanimous. Peggy, say unanimous 7-0. Need a second.
Second, Carol.
Carol seconds all. Any discussion? John? Oh, okay.
He's voting in favor.
All right, all those in favor? Aye, Rob and Brenda raise their hands. Everybody here raises their hands. Who's voting? Peggy, Tom is not voting since he wasn't here. All right, we ready to adjourn?
Yes.
All right, let's call it a night. Thanks, folks.
Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you all.
Half and half, meeting was pretty good.